Well, greetings, Cap fans, and welcome to episode 245 of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast. I'm Rick Verbanis, and I'm your host, and I've got a co-host. He's the best gosh darn one out there. You know his name. It's Bob Lucius. Oh, Bob, I who took the money? Who took the money away? I it's always showtime here at the edge of the stage, and I wake up and wonder, what was the place? What was the name? We want to wait, but here we go again. I got a girlfriend that's better than this, but you don't remember it all. As we get older and stop making sense, you won't find her waiting long. Stop making sense. Stop making sense. Stop making sense. Making sense. I got a girlfriend. She's better than that, and nothing is better than this. Is it?
Nice, Rick. That was like a poetry jam.
It was. That
Yeah.
was. Bob, what do you recognize it? Where
I
it's
do
from?
I do feel like you might have been channeling David Byrne on that one.
I was totally channeling David Byrne. I didn't
Yeah.
have the sport coat on with the really huge
The big
shoulder pads, but
right, yeah.
yeah, that's right. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this was David Byrne is the lead singer in which band?
Talking Heads.
Talking Heads. And
Mhm.
so this was a song in 1983 called Girlfriend is Better. And Bob, why am I greeting you with a Talking Heads song?
Well, Rick, I know this because I've prepared. It is the title of the story for tonight's issue.
Oh,
Stop
look at
making
you.
sense. I know, right?
Ah, I'm really little not well, it's the least you could do.
But I got more for you, Rick.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah. So you know that 1984 what was it? The documentary film about the Talking Heads, Stop Making Sense.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yes.
it was extremely, and it was directed by,
Oh, I don't remember.
Jonathan Demme, who went on to do, he also directed Philadelphia. You remember that movie with Tom Hanks about the
I
HIV/AIDS?
do. Yeah, yeah. Streets of
Classic, right?
Philadelphia, Bruce Springsteen song,
Well, different one, but yeah.
yeah. No,
Uh,
that was the song
yeah,
that was
yeah.
in the movie.
But
Yeah, yeah.
Oscar-winning film, and
Uh-huh.
also Silence of the Lambs. He
Ah, wow.
also directed that. But what a lot of people don't know is that Jonathan Demme made his directorial debut with the 1974 women in prison film Caged Heat, which was, I have seen that movie so many times on Showtime and Cinemax after
Uh-huh.
hours. Yeah, when I was in high school.
Oh,
So
I bet, yeah.
yeah. Rick, do you
Uh-huh.
remember? You probably didn't do this because you're a law-abiding person. But do you remember the old
Mm.
cable TV boxes that would sit on your TV?
Oh, I really was jealous of the ones that had those descramblers that
Uh-huh.
could play anything.
Oh,
Like they
right.
slipped
Yeah.
they slipped the cable guy like an extra $25 and he was like, here
Yeah.
you go. You know?
Well, I remember in my cable box in Drake, Massachusetts. I'm sorry, Drake Cable TV. Rollins was, I think, the name of the company. You could
Mm-hmm.
take a piece of tin foil, aluminum foil, I guess. My wife makes fun of me for calling it tin foil, but aluminum foil, and you'd fold
Mm-hmm.
it up, a couple times, about the thickness of a credit card and maybe the width of a gum wrapper, and you could slide it into one of the air vents in just the right spot underneath, and all of the cable TV channels would come in. Yeah, buddy.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Yeah, my
When you say
parents would. Oh,
all, do you
yeah.
mean
Oh,
all?
I mean, all the good stuff. Yeah. So, yeah.
We're talking like the boom chicka bow bow.
Yeah, some of that. Yeah. I mean, mostly,
Wow.
I focused, I have to admit, I was like a real movie person. And so those
Uh-huh.
classics like Caged Heat on Showtime and Cinemax, which we didn't have,
Yeah.
right up my alley. So,
Oh, wait. So you could get one of the Boom Chicka Bow Bow channels, but
uh-huh.
you preferred Caged Heat.
Yeah. Well, Caged Heat's a classic.
All right. You know what this reminds me of? It was an episode of Happy Days. and
Yeah.
and Ron Howard, and he's there. Richie Cunningham's there with Ralph Malph and Potsy, right?
Yeah.
And the three of them, they find a nudie magazine, right? And they go
Yeah.
up into Richie's room, and they're all standing around looking at the nudie magazine, and 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 Potsy, he was the little kind of dense one, right?
Yep.
Kind
Yep.
of right. He looks at it, and he goes, "Oh," and he's looking at. We can't see obviously, but he's looking at pictures of naked women,
Yep.
and he has this big look on his smile on his face. He goes, "Man, they would look awesome in tight sweaters." And Ralph just looks at him like, "Are you an idiot?" Bob, that's your caged heat right now. You just
Yeah.
like, "I would
You're
love to
right.
see this in tight sweaters."
Donnie Most was a guy that played Ralph Mouth, right? So
Donnie,
for
yes. Yeah.
Don Most. I thought his name was Arnold Most because for years I have been doing my membership renewals for the nonprofit that I run. And
Uh-huh.
once a year, the name Arnold Most comes up. And I'm always like, I wonder, could it be Ralph Mouth retired to Southwest Florida and he's one of my members? You know,
Don't they all retire to
they,
Southwest
they,
Florida? I
they
mean,
all do. Yeah.
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 Uh, well,
Uh,
Bob, so we are covering today a Captain America comic book we have uh, from 1984,
mm,
as you pointed out.
yep.
And it is Captain America 307. And we picked this one because it's a pretty special issue, believe it or not. And if you're listening, listeners, on the day this comes out, which is Wednesday, June 18th, uh, that would have been a birthday for Mark Gruenwald. So he was born on June 18th, 1953. Unfortunately, he passed away at a very early age, in his 40s, in August of 1996. But this was after he had written a decade worth of Captain America stories. Now, prior to that, he was an editor on Captain America for like 3 years, and he was the editor for J.M. DeMatteis. And uh, but his mostly known for Cap fans as a writer, and in one of our March Cap Madness brackets where we had favorite Cap writers, Mark Gruenwald won. He won as favorite Cap writer, and so he is beloved with many Cap fans out there. And this particular issue, Captain America 307, is the very first Captain America story that Mark Gruenwald wrote.
and, and it's a rip roaring one too, Rick, I might add. So he got off to a great start. Can you imagine having 10 years worth of creativity in you? My gosh.
Well, Bob, I mean, what are we? We're going on close to year five
Well,
for this
good point.
podcast. That who would have thought that?
Yeah, that's true, but we are standing on the shoulders of giants like Gru.
That is absolutely true. And
Yeah.
because of writers like Gru, we can talk about Cap Comics. So that is that is what we're covering today and why we're covering it. So, it's interesting, Bob. You live in Southwest Florida, as you mentioned. I live in Central New Jersey, and here it is, June 18th, and it's weird, Bob. I go down into my we'll call it a studio. Sure, why not?
Why
It's a
not?
studio,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, to record, and we do this Tuesday nights, typically at 8 o'clock Eastern, and it's still light out. It was really weird for me to be like recording with you and it was
Yeah.
light out. I felt like
Yeah.
I had more time to get stuff done before I settled down for the night. Um, but Bob, summer solstice is this
Summer
Friday,
solstice. Time
June
to,
20th.
yeah, time
Yeah.
to get
And
out your
do you know
white
what,
robes.
well, you know what
Dances.
happens after summer solstice, right?
I'm afraid to ask.
It all goes backwards, Bob. The days
It
start
all,
getting shorter.
oh, does it? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
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 So all I got to say is
They've been picking up speed
enjoy
anyway.
enjoy this light at this time of day for the next couple of days, Bob.
Yeah, next couple
Right? Because
days.
it's all downhill after that.
Well, as you know, in Southwest Florida, Rick, oh, well, in Florida in general, June 1st was the kickoff of hurricane season. So,
Mm.
so
Hmm.
I actually was out at the grocery store today picking up my hurricane supplies. So, yeah,
Oh
always
yeah.
better to be prepared.
What does one pick up for hurricane supplies?
Well, for me, I don't do the whole bottled water thing because I have some big old 5 gallon jerry cans that I fill up,
Mm-hmm.
and but and I do have a couple generators, so I can plug stuff into that. But I wanted to make sure I got my propane. I like to have instant coffee on hand, so I don't have to plug the coffee maker into the generator if I
Mm-hmm.
don't have
Mm-hmm.
to. So I've got one of those camp stoves and a little propane tank attached to it, so I can do a little cooking out on the lanai and make my
Mm-hmm.
coffee and just some dry goods, stuff like that, pasta and canned goods, stuff like that, just to have it
Mm.
on hand. Make sure I got plenty of cat food because cat food's usually the issue.
Yeah. Otherwise, you become cat food.
Yeah, otherwise, yeah, they start to look at us kind of weird, and yeah, I don't need
Yeah.
that. I don't need that extra stress. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I hear you. You know what? Our priorities are quite different, Bob.
yeah,
Uh, I, I, I don't think I would have had half of the things that you. I've been like, all right, let's see. All right, I would have gone with the propane.
yeah,
Yes. Right. Yeah. All right.
yeah,
Whatever.
sure,
For the
yeah,
generator. That's really really important. Maybe some. I always have a lot of batteries. Because I go to
mm,
Costco. Right. You buy all these
right,
batteries.
yeah.
Um, and then I would be like, okay, how are we doing on vodka?
Yeah, right. Yeah. That that's
And
worth
then
having.
I think my list is done.
It doesn't go bad. So I mean,
Yeah.
and you can do it. You can drink it. You can disinfect your hands with it. Clean a
Yeah.
wound, right? Yeah.
It's true.
Light it
It's
on fire.
medicinal.
Right. It's
Uh-huh.
got all kinds of useful properties. So definitely worth having.
Yeah. I know. There's
Oh,
a reason
yeah.
we get along. Yeah. All right, Bob. So let's get today's comic. Uh, so let's get to the creators. Let's start there. This writer, as we mentioned, is Mark Gruenwald, which is the first issue of his 10-year run. Penciler is Paul Neary. Now, Paul Neary has been around doing comics since the early 70s. He started off with doing like eerie and creepy and Vampirella and things like that. But he's a UK based artist. And so he broke into Marvel, but not Marvel itself. He broke into Marvel UK, and he started doing like Hulk comic and Doctor Who and things like that for Marvel UK, and then he eventually broke into Marvel proper. He did one issue of Kazar, and then he got the Captain America gig. So he picked up with Captain America 292, which was the first issue basically after like Mike Zeck left, right? So Mike Zeck had this 3-year run, and so Paul Neary came on board. And if you remember, we covered 292. That was the Black Crow Christmas story. And we covered that in episode 63, if anybody wants to check that out. But yeah, so he's been with Captain America since 292. So, a year and a half, something like that. As when we get to today's issue of 307. Now, the one thing that when we had John Beatty on the show back in episode 43, which is, an interview. If y'all haven't listened to that one yet, make sure you check out episode 43 for John Beatty. He talked about the difference between inking Mike Zeck and finishing Paul Neary. And he also explained the differences between inking and finishing. But essentially, there's a lot more that the inker needs to do when you're finishing because the penciler did some roughs, right? They didn't, they did some layouts, they did some roughs, they didn't really, finish it, especially to the level of Mike Zeck, who is renowned for the amount of detail that he puts into his pencil work. But So that's what we're kind of looking at today. So while the penciler of this is Paul Neary, the inker is Dennis Johnke, and quite frankly, we're probably looking more at Dennis's artwork than we are for Paul. The colorist is Ken Fendunowicz, and letterer Deanna Albers, and editor Mike Carlin. This had a release date of April 2nd, 1985, and a cover date of July 85. Bob, speaking of cover, which was done by Paul Neary, do you want to take the listeners through it?
Sure. It's a wacky cover, Rick. Some might even say whimsical. Um, it it has uh, it has what appears to be Jack Monroe, but it's a wacky Jack Monroe because half of him, the right side of his head to toe, is attired as Nomad. But the left side, he seems to be attired as Captain America, and he's
Which would be
got
screen right.
huh? Oh, screen right.
Which would be screen right. Yes.
Yes, yeah.
So from the viewer's perspective, it's the right side. Yeah.
That's correct. That's right. So, and he's got a very perplexed look on his face, and he's asking, "Who am I?" And around him is a very light background, light green, but around him are all these colorful bubbles of different sizes, and we see in the text on the cover introducing this issue, the maniacal menace of Madcap. But wait, there's more, Rick. And in fact, it
Mm.
does say that on the cover. There's a little arrow pointing to perhaps the lower eighth of the page. And there is a tiny little illustration of Captain America, the Submariner, and the Human Torch, presumably from World War II, because it says a dramatic look back at the invaders of World War II. So, man, this is a banger cover for Groove's first issue on Cap, and it really does suck you in. And you mentioned the credits, but in the credits, it does say a bold new era for America's greatest hero. Man, they didn't know what they were really talking about. That was marketing, but man, it proved to be
Mm-hmm.
prescient.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. It's like it's like Avengers 4 when Stan Lee and Jack Kirby brought Captain America back. They put on there, on the opening splash page, uh, readers, make sure you save this copy because it's going to be hot collector's item or whatever they said.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah. This didn't quite make it to the Avengers 4 level, but it is a significant one.
sure. Yeah.
But it's funny you should say that though, Bob, because looking this up, going to Comic Book Realm's website and just looking at prices prior to this issue, so 300 through 306, they have it listed as in near mint condition, $8. Now, you could probably get it cheaper than $8 for each one of those issues, but that's what the guide is going by. Take a guess for this issue, 307. I'm gonna tell you it's more than $8. What do you think? What do you think it's listed for in the guide?
12?
25.
Wow. That's surprising.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know if it's because it's the first appearance of Madcap or if it's because it's the first Mark Gruenwald. I would like to think it's the first Mark Gruenwald because I think there's more significance with that. I don't think Madcap as a character is very noteworthy or significant, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I would not
Uh,
have seen that coming.
yeah. And the thing about Madcap, this is the other thing that kind of came through my mind. So I think it was Mark Domeyer in our Facebook group. He had posted a picture he was reading Avengers 25, which came out in last month. And he put a panel page up there of inside, and they're the new Masters of Evil, and Madcap is one of the characters. So this is one of those one world under doom stories, as we
Uh-huh.
talked about with Thunderbolts, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a new Masters of Evil. So you've got Mad Thinker, Dread Knight, Mr. Hyde, and Madcap. So he has got a little recent play, I should
Okay.
say. That's
All right.
which is interesting because he hasn't had a ton of appearances since 1985.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of a niche character, right? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, as
I
we'll
think
see.
everybody will realize that after we go through the story panel by panel.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
All right, let me grab my copy from the spinner rack. 65 cents, Bob, gets you this comic back in 1985.
Money well spent.
What can you get for 65 cents nowadays?
Not much. Not much, my friend.
Yeah. And they're doing away with the pennies too.
Are you a penny fan, Rick? I'm not much of a penny fan. I throw them in a jar. That's what I
Fan?
do. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call myself a fan.
The user? Are
Uh,
you a penny user?
I believe in a penny saved,
All right. Well, I save them. I just throw
right?
them in a jar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My
Penny
penny
saves,
jar.
penny earned. That's what I was
Yeah.
taught when I was a kid.
But here you go, right? They're going to stop making them. That jar is going to be worth a mint.
It's true.
Yeah. Someday. Counting on it.
All right, so open up to the opening splash page, one giant panel on the first page, and we see Captain America flying in the sky, holding onto his shield, and then, but who is holding on to the other side of the shield is one Captain Britain. Now, Captain Britain, we've seen the previous three issues. There was a story. Uh, I'm going to get this wrong. I think it was written by Mike Carlin. I could be wrong. Um, and who is the editor? But it was a story that takes place in Britain, Captain Britain and Captain America together, and that story is over. So Captain Britain is now carrying Captain America through the sky during the middle of the day in Britain. And the title to this one is
Stop making sense.
High over London's Heathrow Airport. Two red, white, and blue splashed figures prepare for an unscheduled landing. I believe that's the jet you want down there, America. Looks like it's still loading. Pour on the speed, Captain Britain. I might just make it. We turn the page, and he's landing in front of a jet. Excuse me, sir. Is there room for a spare passenger? Well, strike me pink. It's Captain Britain and that American fellow. You're on your own, mate. I must be off. I'm sorry, sir. I can't let you board unless you have a ticket. Will this do? And he flashes him what, Bob?
His Avengers ID.
Yes, quite. Come in, Captain. And he's walking through the aisle in the plane. Everybody's turning aghast, looking at him. And the flight attendant, although I think back then she was a stewardess.
Yeah. Still a stewardess back then.
If you'd care to sit here, sir, would you like me to check your desk?
Love it.
I said disc, Bob.
Yeah.
Thanks. And he sits down. Hello. And he's still in his Captain America garb with his mask on and everything. And then there's a middle-aged British gentleman sitting next to him reading the newspaper. And he looks up. Gor blimey! I was just reading about you. You're that invader chap. And Cap thinks to himself, I was hoping I'd be able to catch a little shut-eye on the flight. Maybe my talkative seatmate will ease up a bit. There, during the Blitz, Lieutenant in the RAF, flew 35 missions. The Luftwaffe never stood a chance.
Now I love this particular panel, Rick, because it shows Captain America sitting back in his seat with his eyes closed, and I think we've all had that experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
sat down and your seatmate starts like gabbing as soon as you sit
Mm-hmm.
down, and you're just like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's the international sign of I'm not interested. Eyes closed. But he does have a smile on his face. And he starts thinking about the invaders. It never fails to amuse me that in England, I'm thought of not as one of the Avengers, but as one of the invaders, the team I was in back during the war. The original Human Torch and Toro, good old Bucky, Prince Namor, and me, we were the first costume champions to ever band together, to my knowledge anyway. It seems like only yesterday sometimes, not surprisingly, since I spent most of the time between then and now in deep freeze. And as the captain's reveries are overtaken by sleep 3,000 miles ahead in the Brooklyn Heights apartment of Steve Rogers, another man's sleep is about to be cut short. Bob, what's going on here in this scene?
Well, we see. I love this though, Rick, because we see the roof of Steve's apartment building, and it's got one of those amazing skylights that we often draw attention to. But then we cut to the interior of Steve's apartment, his living room, and we see Nomad in his uniform, laying on Steve's couch, snoozing away.
Yeah, and Nomad is the previous Bucky Barnes from, or the previous Bucky, I should say, from the 1950s. This is Jack Monroe. And he's been Nomad for a little bit of time now, right? I mean, he's been Nomad for, I don't know, probably 280 something, right? So he's been around for a little bit. And the other thing too going on during this time is um, Bernadette Rosenthal, Bernie for short, Cap's girlfriend. I think at this point is a fiance, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, they talked about getting married. I think it was in that issue 292 that we had we
Mhm.
covered, right? They talked a little bit about that. So he's snoozing away on the couch, and there's a knock at the door. Steve, Jack, you boys up yet? It's me, Bernie. No answer. I'll just let myself in and leave them a note. Oops. Sorry to disturb you, Jack. Up all night doing your nomad thing? So, also, listeners, uh, Bernie is well aware that Steve Rogers is Captain America and also that Jack Monroe is Nomad. Have you heard anything from Steve? No. No, I haven't, Bernie. Oh, well, here's your mail. Well, I have to be off to work. Have Steve call me there when he gets in, okay? Oh, and Jack, if you ever hope to find a job, I wouldn't stay up late every night and then sleep until noon. Bye. And she closes the door.
Wow.
Wowzers. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
We turn the page, and that got Jack out of the couch, right? And
Yeah.
he's standing there in his uniform, clenching his fists. Hey, wait a minute. Where does she get off criticizing me for sacking in a bit when it's her boyfriend's fault I'm up so late? While Cap's off gallivanting in England, I'm the guy who's prowling the rooftops, keeping an eye on crime back home. Of course, Cap didn't tell me to cover for him or anything, but heck, what else are partners for? I wonder how long she's been thinking of me as a slacker. Hmm, maybe I am, as he goes into the fridge. I have been living in Steve's apartment for a couple of months now, not paying rent, mooching off him for food and pocket money, probably getting in the way of his and Bernie's privacy. I guess I really haven't been trying all that hard to find a job. Just trying to measure up to Captain America's standards as a sidekick has been tough enough for me. Maybe that's what's been bugging me about my relationship with Cap lately. How can I expect him to treat me like my own man when I'm not even paying my own way in the world? I really ought to do something about that. Maybe I haven't been lucky job hunting because my expectations have been too high. I'll take any job I can get just as a start. Yeah, I'll show Miss Bernie Rosenthal a thing or two when she gets back tonight. I'll have a job, no matter what. A short time later, on one of Midtown Manhattan's less traveled streets, there's a a shop there, Bob. What is that shop?
It's the Ace Costume Shop.
This place ought to have what I need. And this stranger walks into the shop, and the man behind the counter is hanging something up. How would you describe this man?
He is in a word portly. So he's got white shirt on, but he got nice bright red suspenders, holding up those trousers. And you know, he's got a little pencil thin mustache to go with his curly black hair. But he's a big man.
He is a big man. And looking in the shop, you see costumes hanging up on the walls. You see masks, including Iron Man, Hulk. Uh, looks like maybe Rogue.
Is
Maybe
that a
the black
scroll we
costume.
see there?
I don't know.
I don't know what that is down on the left, but lots of cool masks.
Looks like Vermin. Looks like Vermin there.
Oh,
It
you're
could be.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough call, right? Um, yes. May I help you? Nope. I'm beyond help. In fact, so is everybody. And he pulls out a pistol, Bob. How would you describe the look of that pistol?
Well, it looks like a red plastic pistol, but it almost looks like one of those sort of laser pistol toys from the 50s or 60s that you would find advertised in comic books.
I love when you say laser. It does look like a toy gun. And no, don't shoot. I'll give you. And what happens? What comes out of this pistol?
Well, these multicolored bubbles that we saw on the cover of this issue, Rick.
I'll give you any. I I feel so strange. Bark, 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 bark. Look at me. I'm a chicken. And he starts strutting around. A big fat oven stuffer special. Bark. And he is. He's strutting around as these waves of rainbow colored streams go around him and all these bubbles. Next page, next thing you know, he's breaking through the glass, walking out as a chicken.
Oh my God, that's got to leave some marks.
Bark, bark, bark. Let's see. This nifty hat and cape. Yeah, these slacks look good. So he just starts stealing costume.
Does anyone use that word slacks anymore for pants?
You know, that's a good question. I do. I use slacks.
You really?
I do. Yeah. I think I mean I think it's because it's a type of pants. Like if
Is
you
it?
just say I'm going to put on pants,
Yeah.
right? Like pants could be anything,
Yeah.
right?
Well, how are they different than
And
trousers?
so now trousers, that's just old school.
But slacks is it's the sweet spot between old school and
Right. I
casual
think
pants. Yeah.
when I think trousers,
All
I'm
right.
thinking like 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
Slacks, I'm thinking 60s, 70s, man.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because like my dad would have called them slacks for sure, right? Yeah. Or my mom for sure. You know, my wife makes fun of me because I will say it's on the bureau. And she's like,
Oh,
"Oh, well, call the FBI, you know, sort of thing." You know, I'm like, "What? It's a dresser," you know, and I'm like, "But no, I call it a bureau, right?"
yeah.
Anyway,
Do you know how many listeners we're going to have leave comments about slacks? Rick, you're like old school. And then
yeah,
there's going to be like that one person go, I call them slacks.
right. And then there's going to be one, probably Tom Boyd, who calls them pantaloons. Yeah,
Oh, I know we're going to get comments already because of my British accent.
true.
So
Yes,
I
yeah,
had to do three British accents, Bob. I had to do
yeah,
Captain Britain. I had to
yeah,
do the guy on letting people on the plane, and I
yeah,
had to do the stewardess.
yeah. And that's
Those are three
usually,
distinctly
yeah,
different accents.
that's usually a real issue.
Yeah,
The females. Yeah.
yeah. He's going to be like, "Blimey, Rick." Still later, at a grocery store on Manhattan's Upper West Side, we see Jack Monroe wearing a business suit. Is it okay if I call it a suit, Bob?
I mean, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Suit and tie,
The coat and
right?
slacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
He's got his hair all brushed back. He still has the Nomad cape on, which I think is an odd touch.
Keeps them warm.
All right, he doesn't have the cape. Um, but he's in the grocery store and he's talking to the manager. How would you describe the manager?
Well, he's a middle-aged guy, blonde hair, glasses, looks like bifocals maybe, right? Because he's kind of
Mm-hmm.
looking over them. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
reading glasses, brown suit. It's a
Mm-hmm.
respectable middle management sort of guy.
Anyway, sir, I saw your bag boy wanted sign in the window and thought I'd apply. I see. Well, young men, come to the back and let's talk. After Jack completes the job application, let's see. Jack Monroe, age 23, high school graduate. For one of your references, you put Nicholas Fury of Shield. That's that intelligence agency, isn't it? Yes, I did some clerical work for them for a while. Very impressive, son. Why would you leave that to be a bag boy? I didn't like the work all that much, sir. You must realize you're a bit overqualified for this position. You're certain you want this job enough to stay with it a while? Yes, sir. I really want it. All right then, Jack. You can have the job on a trial basis. Thank you, sir. I won't let you down. Well, get out there, son. And they shake hands. Next panel, Jack's there. He's no longer wearing the suit, but he is wearing the dress shirt still, and trousers.
Yeah. And would you call that a schmuck?
I would call it an apron.
See again. Is it an apron or a schmuck? A
Well, first
smock.
of all, I don't. I've never called it a schmuck. I've
I
called
love
something a
saying that. It's just
schmuck.
a fun word. It's I guess it's
Smock.
a smock, but I like saying
Yeah.
schmuck.
So to me, a smock. Now I go back to when I was like I don't know first, second, third grade, and it was art class, and you're
Uh-huh.
like, get your smocks, and all a
Yeah.
smock was an oversized T-shirt you just put over your clothes.
Huh.
It wasn't an
Interesting.
apron.
Well, I don't know. All right. Well, I'm sure we're going to hear about this one as well. Maybe these are regional
Yeah,
differences, right? As much
I
as
think it could be.
interesting.
So he's there, bagging away. And I just want to point out, paper bags, Bob. Paper bags.
Indeed. You're right.
This was before plastic became a thing. I think, as far as bags are concerned.
Yeah.
Well, it's not much, but doggone it, I've got a job. Wait till I tell Bernie. At that moment, in a different type of store in the heart of Greenwood. At that moment, in a different type of store in the heart of Greenwich Village. I don't know, Bernie. This looks really bad. The landlord is asking for a 300% increase for this storefront space. With our lease up and all, I don't see how we can fight it. But Annie, we can barely make ends meet with the rent as it is. What can I tell you, kiddo? Hand blown glass just isn't as trendy as it was in the 60s. What if we have to move out? What then? Find another place, I guess. To think I was giving Jack a hard time about jobs this morning. I may end up on the unemployment line myself soon. And for listeners who may not be aware, uh, Bernie has her own glass blowing business in a shop. Next page. Meanwhile, uptown pandemonium reigns. What are we looking at here, Bob?
Well, it looks like we have in Indonesian, they would call this a kacau balau. It is a traffic jam of immense proportions where cars are just going every which way on this downtown Manhattan street. And people are out of their cars. They're standing on the roofs. They're in fist fights with people. There's people doing somersaults and handstands, and high above them, hanging from a streetlight, is this costume character, and he's got that very same plastic-looking ray gun, shooting these magical bubbles.
Yeah, and there's a lot of honking going on. Hey Bob, how about this? I'll do the voice of Madcap. You want to do the voices of the pedestrians?
Sure, yeah. Let me get that. Oh my god. Okay.
And Bob's breaking out his Mark Gruenwald omnibus.
That's 8,000 pages. So, okay. All right.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be? Please, won't you be my neighbor?
1, 2, 3, dip. I'm on top of the world, Ma. Tag, you're it. Aye, he's got a gun. This is why Rick does not usually allow me to do voices, folks.
Uh, I do it every once in a while just so I sound better. Whenever I'm feeling bad about myself, Bob.
Glad I can help out, buddy. Also, I think just holding the omnibus gave me a bit of a hernia. So
that's why the voice was so high.
That's it.
Did you actually drop it halfway through? This will never do. There's not enough chaos. There are still some who haven't joined in. And he drops down to street level. Hello, fellow humans. I am Madcap, the messenger of meaninglessness, the fermenter of fun.
Somebody help me put. Oh, I thought I was still doing the voices, Rick, for this panel.
Please do. Please do.
Oh, okay.
Because as you said before, this is a whimsical issue. So why not?
Yeah. Okay. Somebody help me push the Earth out of orbit. Hi ho, it's off to work we go. Matilda, darling. I think I just broke a sweat.
That was awesome. And there's a police officer there. He's got his pistol drawn as he's running towards the danger. What in blazes is that clown doing to these people? Freeze, bozo! Police! Drop that gun, now! What? And spoil all the fun? He's aiming toward me. Stop or I'll shooby dooby doo 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 da da!
Blam!
Oops! And he gets shot in the chest, Bob. As the police officer is kind of freaking out from the bubbles. And he's leaning up against a brick wall, his head down, his body slumped in a fashion that looks terminal. Nasty wound. Looks like I took it in the ticker. Farewell, world. It's been a gas. What's this? The bullet hole is closing up before my wondering eyes. All gone, and I never felt a thing. Up and at 'em. Madcap's the name. Parcheesi's the game. And he starts firing at a looks like a mom and a little baby, a toddler.
Boom, da da da, boom, boom, da da.
So, yes, even the toddler is affected because he's holding the hand of his mom and calls her dada. And then we go back into the grocery store where Jack is, he's doing his job, right? He's bagging groceries. And there's a woman behind the register Um, and how would you describe her, Bob?
Well, she is a she's a younger woman in a looks to be a red cardigan sweater, long black hair, very attractive, very attractive. You know, Jack and her make a nice couple.
Hey, you crackerjack. You hear something outside? Not me, Carmela. The only thing I hear is my heart thumping whenever I look at you. You're being silly again. Wow, I'm actually getting to like this bag boy business. It's fun to have people to kid around with. Carmela's a real knockout, too. If I play my cards right, maybe I'll even ask her out later. But outside, the crowd keeps going, Bob.
Oh, it does. There's the wind up and the pitch. Get a piece of the rock.
And someone throws a rock that breaks through the window of the grocery store.
Crash.
Ah! That sound, what? Hey, some kind of riot's going on outside. Carmela, are you okay? Oh, let me see your arm. What was that? A rock someone threw. And then one of the managers at customer service is calling the police. Yeah, an ambulance to Broadway and 88th, the Big Apple supermarket. The manager even comes out. Are you okay, son? I think so. Thank goodness Carmela's cuts don't look too serious. No one else seems to be badly injured either. When I get my hands on the jerk who threw that rock, I'm going to wring his neck. The manager speaks up. Stay calm, everyone. We're safe inside. Jack Monroe, where do you think you're going? Well, I was just going to see what all the commotion was. Your responsibility, young man, is to the store. Yes, sir. So he just looks out the window. What in the world is going on out there? Everything's acting crazy. The next thing you know, we see a police officer and a grown man, the two of them dancing cheek to cheek.
Two for tea, and tea for two, and you for me, and me for you.
What should I do? Stay at my post like a good employee who wants to please his boss? Or should I do my civic duty and go out and investigate and risk losing my job? The boss is busy with the customers. Now's my chance. I hope he didn't see me duck into the back room. With any luck, I won't be gone long enough to be missed. If this isn't a job for Nomad, I don't know what is. And he changed into his costume as Nomad in the back alley and is running out into the street. Hey, what's going on?
Who you, Spider-Man or something?
Nomad.
Quack, quack, quack. Funny, that's how I feel too.
I'll probably go nuts before I find someone who can give me a straight answer around here. Let me grab a good vantage point. See if I can't spot a pattern to all this.
I got ants in my pants, but I like it.
And he climbs up on the lamp pole. Where are all those bubbles coming from? Could they have anything to do with a guy in a costume? He's got the bubble gun. Don't know how, but dollars to donuts, he's the cause of all this chaos. And sure enough, there's Madcap standing on top of a newsstand. Now pay attention, you mindless rabble, you. Life is one big joke. Don't you see? Nothing is worth taking seriously. I better talk to, my coworkers. I better scram before they recognize me.
Wow, look, Mr. Menzies. It's one of those superheroes.
Okay, Mr. Bubble, party time is over. And he goes up and he tackles midair off of the newsstand and lands him down onto a car. He's aiming his gun at me. I've got to take him down, quick. Randomness rules. Whee! and they land on a car. Uh-oh, I hit him hard. Maybe too hard. I thought I felt his back crack. I I better check over vital signs. If I hurt him. Hey pal, are you? And
Boing!
next thing you know, as he's leaning over Madcap, which by the way, he's laying on his back, bent over the front of a car, and it sure looks like his spine is not in a natural position.
Yeah, that's not a comfortable position.
And as he's leaning over the guy, Madcap just pokes him in the eyes.
I hate when that happens.
Ow! Had you worried, didn't I, Pookie? That madman nearly gouged my eye. How tough is he anyway? Nothing is real, nothing to get hung up about. Bob, I'd ask you where that quote's from, but you wouldn't know.
I don't know.
It's a Beatles song, Bob.
Is it really?
Strawberry fields forever.
All right. Okay. All right. I've heard that once or twice.
Yeah. Nothing is real, nothing to get hung about. Next page, we see Nomad, who's still rubbing his eyes, take one of his flying spin discs from his chest and throws it at the noise. Go ahead, Looney Tune. Keep prattling away so I can get a beat on you with my stun disc. Life is just one blame thing after another. Why bother trying to understand it? Better men than you have tried and failed. Give up on sanity. This is an insane universe. Dare to accept the truth that there is no truth. Reality is fake. And it hits him in the back of the neck.
Food.
Whoopee! I done been bushwhacked. What fun! And as he's falling, he lands into the brick wall. And it makes a noise.
Oh, sorry.
And then he falls down. And well, once again, his body does not look to be in a natural position.
It is twisted
He
a bit.
looks like a rag doll that's just kind of all bent in different directions.
Very uncomfortable.
Oh man, I don't care how tough this Joker is. The way he's lying is unnatural. Like something's broken. Just the same, I'm not getting too close. But next thing you know, he starts to stand up and pop his arms and legs back into place. Snap, crackle, pop. My name's Madcap. What's yours? The guy must be a contortionist. He's getting up. I'm Nomad. Come here, Nomad. I've got a secret to tell you. I can't be hurt, and I can't feel a thing. Nothing. No sensation. Zip. If you don't believe me, you're cordially invited to try to knock some sense into me. You got it, bub. Let's see him claim he can't feel this. And he gives him a left cross.
Wham!
Ah. Nice try, Nami. You have managed to dislocate my jaw. Not that I can't snap it back in place again. Snap. See, what did I tell you? No pain, no sensation at all. And we turn the page. And next thing you know, we see him kicking Nomad in the gut. Now, tell me, can you say the same? And then Nomad goes down. Now, where did my fun gun go? Here, fun gun, here. There you are, you pretty little thing, as he crawls underneath a vehicle on the street. And he aims it at Nomad. Wait, Madcap, before you shoot, tell me something. Why are you doing all this? You really want to know? All right then, I'll tell you. There's no reason at all. That's life. Now, my friend, it's time for you to see the world the way it really is. No. Uh, and he sprinkles him with the rainbow colors and the bubbles, and he starts to get a look on his face. I must fight it. not let these bubbles take over my. Suddenly I feel so good, tingly, lightheaded, like I don't have a care in the world. Like I don't care. I can do anything. Goodbye, Nomad. Don't forget to write. Tra la, tra la. And he skips away. Yahoo! Evildoers beware! The mighty Nat's coming through! And he starts doing acrobatics over vehicles on the street. Citizens, I'm New York's newest and bestest superhero. I'm Captain America's best buddy. I call myself Nomad. No as in no. Mad as in mad. I. And then he stops Bob and he looks at his reflection in a store window. And what does he see?
Well, he sees what we see on the front cover, which is half his body is Nomad, and in half appears to be Captain America.
My reflection in that window, that's not me. It's only part of me. And the other half is Cap. Is that what has happened? Have I been hanging around Cap so long that I'm losing my identity? That I'm merging with him? Who am I? I'm ridiculous. I've gone mad. Mad as a hatter. Mad as a capper. Cap as a matter. Does Cap matter? No, I'm mad. No, I'm Cap. And he starts hopping away on the vehicles. But from the alley, in the dark, we see the silhouette of a few different figures. And they have long hair, but we're just seeing the back of them. Hey, recognize that punk, Tanya? It's one of them do-gooder types, gone crackers. He sure would be easy to crush right now. One less of their kind to worry about. No, Blanche. There's plenty of time for that later. We don't want to do anything to call attention to ourselves until after we've completed the task at hand. Come, before we are seen. Next page, Madcap is going around and he's hopping around throughout the streets. Hey, mister, don't be glum. Today's the last day of the first of your life. Happy motoring. Reality is a junk concept, a mass produced, mass marketed product that people use every day, then throw away. To heck with junk. To heck with reality. To heck with heck. And he kicks and knocks over a full garbage can. Say, kids, what time is it? Oh, and he looks at his watch. 3:58. As good a time as any. Enough work for one day. Bye now. May all your thoughts be random. And he hops down into the subway. And as Madcap seeks refuge below the streets, his most colorful victim does the opposite. And we see Nomad on top of a water tower on top of a building. From out of the past, where the time went by fast, comes the nutcase known as Nomad. He's a foolish fellow, he has brains made of jello. The nutcase known as Nomad. Nomad, he's half as good as Cap. Nomad, the world's biggest sap. And in the background, we see what he sees, right? Which is rainbows and is that a unicorn flying?
I think that's a cotton candy
Mountaintops.
cloud.
Yeah, there's that,
Hmm.
and there's like a some sort of castle, and the sun in the sky has a smile, and he looks down at his half a Captain America shield. Now for my next number, I'd like to sing. You ain't nothing but a hey, what's the half shield's fading? My glove turning back to yellow. I've stopped hallucinating. Great. Looks like the rest of the neighborhood's come to its senses too. Cops all over the place, trying to clear the traffic. I wonder if they caught Madcap as he descends down onto the street. Excuse me, officer, the guy who started all this, do you have him in custody? No, I just got here. We heard he was wearing a funny costume. Like yours. Hold it, mister. I want to ask you a few questions. No thanks, officer. I couldn't help you anyway. I'm not the perpetrator. I'm Nomad, Captain America's partner. And before the policeman can act, the nimble nomad disappears into the crowd, only to reappear as Jack Monroe. Next thing you know, he's back into the grocery store and he sees another bagger who is stocking shelves. I wonder if my absence was noticed. I've been gone for almost 2 hours. Jackie, where was you, man? The boss is having a fit. Oh, thanks, Jim. Uh, Mr. Menzies, I'm sorry for. I'm not interested in your excuses, Monroe. You deliberately disobeyed my orders to mind the store and skipped out. Here is your $16 for your morning's work. Now get out. You mean. And he leaves and he's passing the stalker Jim. I got sacked, Jim. See you around, okay? You don't know where Carmela went, do you? They took her to Roosevelt Hospital, man. Hey, stay cool, Jackie. Yeah, cool. Soon at Roosevelt Hospital in the outpatients area, I may have loused up my job, but maybe I can still get something going with Carmela. And he comes across Carmela sitting on a chair, and she's got a bandaged up arm, and she's waiting in the hallway. I guess probably to see a doctor or something. And behind her is a man holding her shoulders. Crackerjack, what are you doing here? Just wanted to see if you were okay. And you came all this way? Oh, how sweet. Crackerjack, I want you to meet my boyfriend, Raoul. Raoul, this is a boy I work with. Buenos dias. You're. I'm glad you weren't hurt too bad, Carmela. I've got to be running. Nice meeting you, Raoul. See you at the store, Crackerjack. And he goes off. That's always fun, right? Here's a boy I work with.
I know, right? Yikes.
Next page. Soon on the 4 train to Brooklyn. Bob, did I ever tell you how uh, I live in New Jersey, but occasionally have to go into New York for work?
Yeah.
I'm not a city guy. I don't like the city. I really
Yeah.
don't. I don't like any city.
Yeah.
And so, no offense to people who like cities. That's your thing, not my thing. So, did I ever tell you about how I hate going into the subway because I don't know where the heck I'm going? Did I ever tell you about that?
No, no, you haven't.
No? All right.
Yeah.
So here's what happens, right? So I go on NewJerseyTransit.com. I put in my final destination. I put my
Yeah.
starting destination. It tells me, all right, take the Raritan Line train to
Yep.
Newark. All right. Take Newark to New York Penn. When you get
Yeah.
on New York Penn, go to subway, I don't know, I'll just say 4, right?
Yeah.
And then you want to take that to this subway and then get out and walk 4 blocks, right?
Okay.
I mean, it's easily like an hour 45-minute trek, right?
Yeah.
From
Sure.
the time I leave my door to wherever I need to go,
Yeah.
and it's not cheap either. But here's the thing: it tells you this subway to that subway, but they
Right.
don't tell you what direction. And so I get down there and I'm in the subway and I look and I'm like, here's subway 4. Oh, wait a minute, subway 4 can go this way and subway 4 can go that way. Well, which way am I supposed to go?
They
It doesn't tell you in the
don't have
New Jersey
signs that
Transit.
show all the stops.
No, you get
Yeah.
on the train, and if you're lucky,
Yeah.
it's one of the newer ones that shows you all the stops.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
Uh,
and I've been doing this for years, Bob, years,
yeah.
and it's always the kindness of strangers. It's always like, I need to get to X. Can you tell me? And someone will be like, oh yeah, you want to get on this train? All right, thank you. And they're very
Yeah.
nice,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
And
New York's
so
known for
again,
yeah, for
the
nice.
kindness of strangers,
Yeah.
right? And and,
Yeah.
and so that's what I end up doing. It wasn't until this year, Bob. It wasn't until I was this years old when I found
Yeah.
out the difference between uptown and downtown. Do you know what the
Yeah.
differences between uptown and downtown is?
I don't in New York City. No.
No. Well, guess what? I always thought uptown was the expensive area,
That's where the
right?
girl lives.
Because
Yeah.
right, because uptown, right?
Yeah.
You know, uh,
Uptown
whatever
girl. She's
right.
been
Whatever
waiting in
80s.
her white bread
Yeah,
world.
right.
Yeah,
So
right. Yeah.
right. So whatever 80s TV show I saw, I don't know,
Uh-huh.
different strokes, or
Yeah.
whatever, and it was like, oh, they live in Uptown, right? And
Yeah.
that was expensive
Moving
there.
on
And
up.
then downtown, right,
Yeah.
downtown, not so much, right? So I always thought that that's what that meant.
Yeah.
No, it's
No.
not true.
Yeah.
Uptown means higher numbers. Downtown means lower numbers. So if I'm going on 4 and I need to get to 11, I need to go uptown.
Nice.
I didn't
Nice.
know that. No, how would I know that? No one ever told me that. It's like they just assume people know that.
You should like do a Yelp on this transit
I really
system.
should. Yeah. Thumbs down by
Thumbs
Rick
down.
Verbonis
Yeah.
on the New
Nobody
Jersey Transit.
mentioned this.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that would be funny. You should do that. TripAdvisor. Just
Mm.
hammer them.
So Jack Monroe's on the subway and he's standing there holding on with the handles. And he's he's got I guess a bag over his shoulders, probably where he keeps his Nomad costume. And he's just thinking to himself, what a waste I am. Get myself canned from a job after less than a day. I make myself look like a jerk coming on to a girl with a boyfriend. I make a cop think I'm an accomplice to the riot on Broadway. And most of all, while I was busy hallucinating, like some burned out doper, I let that loony Madcap get away. I wonder where that fruitcake disappeared to anyway. Beats me. All I know is I'm not going to rest until I find him. And it turns out, Bob, he's in another car next to the. He's sitting there, so Jack can't see him. And nail his butt, but good. He's the first super criminal I took on all by myself, and he made me look like an amateur. As soon as I figure out where to begin looking for that creep, I'm not going to let up. I'll teach him to make a fool of me. We turn the page, and it's the last page. Soon in the Brooklyn Heights apartment of Steve Rogers. Now, and he's sitting there, kind of sullen, his elbows on his knees, hunched over, looking down at the ground. Now let's think. Where do I begin looking for Madcap in a city this big? I wonder how Cap would. No, I'm tired of trying to think like Cap, be like Cap. Maybe that's my problem. And there's some knocking at the door, but he's ignoring it. And who comes through the door?
It's our girl Bernie.
Oh, Jack, didn't you hear me knocking? I just stopped by to see if Steve was in. Guess not. Boy, what a day I've had. The landlord of my building where I have my shop just stow it, lady. I'm not interested in your silly problems. I got plenty of my own. Gee, what's eating him? Guess I'll be going. Bye, Jack. And Jack gets up and he goes into his room and he starts to like put on his jacket and grab a bag. It was a mistake coming back here to Steve's place. I don't belong here. Who knows where I belong? I'm packing all my gear and checking out for good. Madcap, you better say your prayers. I'm coming for you. And then the last few panels, it's a completely different story. And as Jack Monroe leaves one apartment, a trio of sinister looking figures prepare to enter another. There's a light on. Think he entered his pad without us noticing? You know the way he sneaks around, Blanche. Let's go in. Right. And Blanche kicks the glass, and coming through, who do we see, Bob?
It's Anaconda, Black Mamba, and Black Adder.
And who are they?
They are part of the whole serpent thing, squad, society, whatever they are. I hate those people.
I know you do. um, and if people don't know who they are, it's for good reason because this is only the fourth appearance for all three of these characters. Uh, they appeared all three of them appeared in Marvel 2 and 1, 64 and 65, which came out in 1980, and then they waited 2 years to appear in Iron Man 160, and then 3 years go by, and then here they show up. So nobody should really know who these three characters are unless they read that Marvel 2 and 1 or Iron Man. I checked the bedroom. No sign of him. I don't think the slimeball's home, Tanya. We'll go to the fridge and get us a couple of beers. We'll just sit tight and wait for him. And when Sidewinder shows his mug, the Serpent Squad's gonna smash it. And that, we won't get into too much of that because that's a story for another day.
Love it.
All right, Bob. What'd you think of Captain America 307?
Well, an interesting story. The whole Madcap guy is kind of an interesting villain, right? Is he really a villain?
Yeah.
Has he done any villainy things yet? I don't think
Oh,
so.
I would say so. Yes. Yeah,
Really?
absolutely. No,
I
yeah.
don't know. He,
Listen, you're thinking like somebody who never owned a retail store and had stuff stolen and windows
well,
broken,
that's fair. That's
or
fair.
a police officer who has to deal with a whole mess of people rioting and things like that. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad news, man.
I don't know. I mean,
I mean,
we've
it's
had
not
this.
Red Skull
Yeah, I
level.
mean, we've had this discussion about bad guy versus villain, right? So pretty so far he seems pretty, yeah, he stole some stuff and caused some havoc. But what's he up to, right? Other
Mm,
than,
anarchy.
anarchy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Interesting character.
So, what do you think of this being Mark Grunwald's first Captain America story? It's not the first story he's ever written, but it's the
Right.
first Captain America story
Yeah.
he's ever written, and it's after 3 years of editing for J.M. DeMatteis and the rest of the team, including Mike Zeck.
Yeah.
And when we had J.M. DeMatteis on the show, when was that, Bob?
Long time ago. My hair was
Yeah,
less
Remember-
gray. Yeah.
yeah. I think I had hair back then. It
Right.
was
Yeah.
episode 13.
13. Oh my goodness.
Yes, 13. So
My
when we
goodness.
had him on the show, he talked about Mark Grunwald being an amazing editor. He said that he never said no. He offered great ideas. He always pushed to try something a little different, or and that and he never wanted to take credit for any of his ideas. Um, so he's a generous editor. But after 3 years of this, and also he was on the Avengers book for many years as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so he knew Captain America, and from that, he obviously has his own idea for stories, right? So at the end here, we see the Serpent Squad, and we know within time, within that year, Serpent Squad becomes the Serpent Society, which is a
Mm-hmm.
whole thing. So he's been itching to do something with these characters, you can tell. But he introduces Madcap. Why? Well, I think it was to move the character of Jack Monroe along further,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? Like it was the kick in the butt that Jack Monroe needed to, you know, try to become his own man. And right, instead of he was, as he mentioned, he was so
Mm-hmm.
focused on being the best sidekick or partner to Captain America and live up to Captain America's ideals that he wasn't trying to be his own man. Now, for those, maybe this is their first episode and they've never listened to this before, they've never read any of the comics. Jack Monroe was Bucky from the 1950s. He was in suspended animation after they kind of went crazy, and he came back as well as that version of Captain America, which was William Burnside, and um, essentially he went off on his own. And then one day he shows up on Steve Rogers' doorsteps, and Steve takes him in and makes him his partner. And he's still trying to find his way in the world. you may have noticed some of the words that he used seemed a little out of place, right? Because he was still talking kind of maybe in the 50s lingo. So he's a man out of place. And I feel like Mark Gruenwald wanted to create an adversary that would um, be new and interesting, but also an impetus to get Jack off the couch, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's a great read on this story, right? Because what we see Cap in like what two pages and some change out of like a
Right.
21-page story, right? And then after that first couple pages, we don't see him again. It is a Jack story, so it makes perfect sense that this is a vehicle to sort of move Jack along uh, maybe start putting the pieces in place for a longer narrative that is centered around Cap.
Mm-hmm. All right, Bob. Getting into favorite panels, you go first. What's your favorite panel in this story?
Well, Rick, yeah, obviously I'm working off the omnibus here, but like in the digital, it's around page 17. It's that bottom panel where we see Madcap skipping across the bottom of the page with Nomad, first struck by the bubbles and losing it and starting to lose himself in laughter. I love that panel of Madcap just sort of skipping tra la la exit
Mm-hmm.
stage
Mm-hmm.
right. So I think that's a great panel. Lot going on there. And as I said at the outset, I'm a sucker for a little whimsy.
It's not a panel you would typically see in a Captain America comic, that is for sure.
No, no. How about yourself?
Next page, I'm going to go with page 17, panel 4. And that's the one where Nomad is pointing to his reflection in the storefront and seeing half of him and half of Captain America, who is pointing back at him. And so I thought that was just well constructed
Mm-hmm.
by Paul Neary as far as the layouts are concerned. And that one panel tells a lot, and it
Mm.
tells a lot of what's going on in Jack's head, and what is really the impetus behind everything that's going to eventually happen from this story and on for the character of Jack Monroe. So that's my favorite one.
Nice, nicely done. And how about a T-shirt? What are you gonna put on a T-shirt?
I'm going to go with page 11 and the last panel, and it's the one where Jack slips into his nomad costume in the
Uh
alley
huh.
and
Yeah.
he's running and he says,
Yeah.
"If this isn't a job for Nomad, I don't know what
Yeah.
is."
Yeah. It's funny. I just saw that and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pick that one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because it has that sort of Batman feel from the
it
1960s
does.
show, doesn't it? The
It
intro.
totally does. Uh huh.
Yeah. So exactly the way
Yep.
the cape is flying behind him.
Mm-hmm.
It has a real callback to that. So
Yeah, it really does. I think it's a cool on t-shirt. What do you think?
all right, yeah, I absolutely do.
How about
Absolutely.
you? What's going on your
Well,
t-shirt? If
then
not this one.
I'm gonna have to go with my first choice, which was the upper right panel on and it's around page 20 or so. It's when he's coming out of the hallucination, right? He's seen
Mm-hmm.
that shield disappear and his glove turns back yellow, and he says to himself, "I've stopped hallucinating, I guess. Great." And I'm like, I'm gonna put that on a damn shirt.
Right.
Nobody's gonna know what the heck that's about, but it's an
Right.
inside joke.
That's I like that because you see that it's just stopped hallucinating, I guess. Great.
We all feel that
Like,
way from time to time.
yeah. Can I just go back to hallucinating? What is this reality stuff,
Just a
please?
little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, Bob. What is going in your time capsule?
All right. I got to go with Jack getting fired from the store, from the Big Apple store, and his boss, Mr. Menzies, on around
Hmm.
page 21, comes out and says, "Here's your half day wages, your $16 in cash." Like, who pays in cash anymore, right? Who gets paid in cash anymore? They'd have to direct deposit that into your account these days. So it's like the whole cash thing, right?
And he's pulling it out of his wallet.
And it's out of his wallet at that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That does certainly paint a time period. Yeah, for
Yeah, my
sure.
son ratted me out, by the way, tonight to
Oh
my
yeah.
wife. Yeah, because he said, "Oh, Dad has a stash."
Why did you tell him? Didn't this
Because
come up a few years ago during the show? And I was
I
like,
don't
Bob,
know.
why are you telling your son this is going to come back and haunt you? I
I know
remember
because
talking about
I'm
this.
because he's got a girlfriend, and I'm like, hey, dude, like if you got an issue, there's like two things on my bookshelf. There's a thing of condoms, and there's my stash. And I'm like, if you need either, you need $20 because you're going out with your girl, fine, right? But like, you don't need to tell me. Just do it. And the other thing as well, you know where it's at. So, but then he ratted me out. So he was deflecting attention. So off
Hey,
him.
hey, mom. Hey, mom. Guess what? Dad offered me condoms.
Well, she knew
I know.
about that.
I know. He was talking about the money and not the condoms because that's the
Yeah.
last thing he probably wants to talk about.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was when
Yeah.
we had that
Yeah.
conversation. Yeah, for sure.
And you're like, listen, son. Uh, you may want to check the expiration date on these first.
I never needed them, so I just
uh,
had them.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway,
Uh,
so well, what
all
about
right.
you, Rick? What about
How do we
your yeah, I know, huh?
how
It's
do we take a left turn from that conversation?
a wide
All right.
ranging show.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go with page 9 first. Uh,
Mm.
page eight, first panel. It's the first appearance of Madcap in uniform.
Uh-huh.
Boom. Right. You know me. I like first appearances, things like that that are important, and put that in a time capsule. And any self-respecting Cap fan would go, "Oh, well, yeah, that's mid '80s, of course."
I thought for sure you were going to when you said that you were going to call out the Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood theme song that he was singing as he hung from that lamppost, spraying the
Mm.
neighborhood with bubbles.
Yeah, but it really wasn't that time period. Like, it wasn't
It,
Mr. Rogers done by
oh
mid '80s.
no,
No,
no! He ran from
I mean he
Mr.
was popular
Rogers.
in the '70s.
He ran from 1968. Hold on your hat to 2001.
No,
Absolutely,
really.
912 episodes. He passed away in 2003, stomach cancer. Didn't know he had it, but yeah, his show ran through 2001. So
How many episodes?
912, including
Oh,
specials.
Bob, we got a long way to go before we get there.
That's right. Yeah. So
Well, that's fantastic. He was such a wonderful special man.
national
Did you ever
treasure.
see the? Did you ever see the movie that Tom Hanks played him?
No, I don't think I have.
You need to.
Worth
You
checking out.
absolutely need it. First
Yeah.
of all, Tom Hanks is a brilliant actor, as you know, but he did a wonderful job playing Fred Rogers, and it's one of those feel good movies. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely watch it.
I'll
If you
check
want
it
to,
out.
if there's a night you need to pick me up and a feel
Yeah.
good movie, yeah, a couple tears here and there, but overall, feel good movie.
Sounds good. All right. It's going to be a family movie night.
Sure, it's not going to be Caged Heat.
That's after the wife goes to bed, Rick.
All right. All right. Come back next episode when we are going to be taking on, we have a special guest, one of our super soldiers, Mark Domeyer. You know him, you love him. You've heard many of his questions for our guests over the years. Mark Domeyer is going to be back on the show, and he's got a really cool topic, Bob.
Mark always comes up with something brilliant. So just a great guy to talk to as well. So I'm looking forward to having him on.
Well, the topic is, you ready for this?
I am.
Most important cap stories of each decade. So we're going to go
Wow.
decade by decade and not favorite, most important.
Yeah.
So make sure you come with your strong opinions, people, because I've seen Mark's list and
Yeah.
some I agree with.
Mm,
We'll see about some of the
I don't
others.
know. I don't know. We've got a lot of shrinking violets in the group and in the podcast listeners. So,
Yeah, it's true.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, come back next episode for that as we have Mark Domeyer on for a special nightcap episode. Bob, as always, it's been fun wrapping cap with you.
It has, Rick. I can't wait till next week.
All right. He's Bob Lucius. I'm Rick Verbanis. And thank you for, if you don't mind, rating, reviewing, and subscribing wherever you listen. If you're on YouTube right now, you know what to do. Smash that thumbs up button. And we love hearing your comments, whether it's on the Facebook group, on YouTube, on Spotify. And it's been a little while. We haven't seen a 5-star review on Apple. So make sure you do those if you're listening on Apple right now. And as always, we thank you for listening to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast.